Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. This is the late game. I'm your host, Maynarde, and with me is my good friends, JaKaTaK, Lycan, Stephen Bunnell, Mr. Destiny himself, and iNcontroL as well. We're all talking about Legacy of the Void, and as you'd imagine, Gfinity as well. So hope you enjoy the show.
Beautiful. Enjoy the animation.
So dirty.
I want to thank Maynard for that beautiful intro. That was like last minute. I asked him, I said, hey, Maynard, why don't you do some introduction stuff? And he was like, oh, man, totally. I love you, Lycan. I'll do anything for you. And actually, it was more like, hey.
That's exactly how it went.
Yeah, exactly. It really was. It was more, it's 6 a.m. I don't know if I can actually be excited right now. And so, and then I just screwed up and then muted the sound for the half of the animation. So, video screwed up. You know what that means, guys. There will be no show tomorrow on the YouTube. It's done. It's not going to happen. Anyway, we have an awesome lineup today. Maynard, this is your first time on the show.
Yep.
Real quick, it was a very loud echo for you.
Wait, what? I don't hear any echoes.
Okay.
Do you hear an echo?
I don't.
It sounds clean to me.
Everyone else is saying echo, and I thought
Do you have your stream on in the
It's
background?
like
or
the
something?
April Fool's is on you, you son of a bitch.
do you know?
Happy April 1st, man.
Right? Oh man.
Do you,
All
have,
right.
do you have your own stream on in the background or something?
No. It's muted.
I will say this, your stream's not on Team Liquid. So
It never is.
There is echo because you have Destiny's channel not muted. How about that?
Destiny's channel is muted.
Oh, BM.
it's never listed on Team Liquid?
No. I always fuck up and don't list it, but I'm looking. It's on. Like I'm getting.
No, Twitch
I'm trying
chat.
to think
Look
if
at
you're
the
the
fatal
worst
fuzzy.
host
No
I've ever had in my
echo.
life.
Jason is there. No echo. We're good.
All
man.
right. So I just linked the stream to this, so maybe that's what I screwed up on. But the event is there. All right, so we've got that taken care of. I think my fuck ups are minimal this episode. So back to Maynard, first time on the show. Glad to have you.
Thanks, man.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. I played a bunch of ladder on Friday night. Unfortunately, I had like an arm injury at work, so I didn't like have the most active or fun weekend. But it was cool. I got Bloodborne on PS4. That was really fun.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the Souls games, so that was a big plus for me. And yeah, I mean, I pretty much just gamed. My house was empty, no girlfriend, no nothing. So
It sounds like
ate junk food, and played video games.
I'm surprised they got Bloodborne to the island that early. That's interesting.
Yeah, we're usually only a couple days behind.
Did you pirate
No.
it from China, or is it a real copy?
No, I don't know how to pirate on PS4 yet. So
Do they have
actually,
to rename it like Red Wineborn to get by like, Australian censors? Or?
Yeah, Raspberry Jam born.
There you go.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really cool game, and they didn't have to. Actually, Mortal Kombat X is coming here, which is really surprising.
Do you guys really have a problem with Mortal Kombat?
Oh, Australia?
We did with Mortal
Classic
Kombat
game.
9, man. Yeah,
Are you
dude,
kidding me?
Destiny's right. We have huge issues with games.
Yeah,
We got a
it's,
really tight ass sort of backwards game. What do you call it? Like a sort of like the FCC, but for games.
Mhm.
So weird that would be in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, we're really laid back people, but there's a lot about our country that's really behind the rest of the world.
Everything in the country can kill you, so they want video games to be a safe haven, right? Where you can go there and not
where
have
you
to
don't
worry
feel
about
afraid.
it. Yep. Oh man. All right. Well, so what do you do, if you don't mind me asking? What do you do for a day job?
Me, I'm a software developer.
Okay.
I also I'm one of the stronger guys at the office, so they make me unload pallets sometimes with hardware and stuff that arrives, and unfortunately, that's how I injured my elbow.
Oh. Man, hey, who says that software developers don't do anything physical?
We got 10 graphics cards here. Someone go get.
We just got a whole bunch of paper
Radar.
pads, guys. Let's bring in the pens.
Hey, right? We got here.
Good impersonation, dude. You're getting better at it every day, I swear.
Oh God. So have you fallen for it, Maynard? Have you fallen for any April Fool's jokes?
No. This has been a pretty tame April Fool's, to be honest.
It really has.
I haven't seen anything that's gotten me. Everything I've seen it, and like within like a split second, I've gone, okay.
All right. So to highlight my own naivety, when I first, because it wasn't April 1st for me, so when I read the Liquid WoW thing, like I genuinely thought Team Liquid was gonna open up, they were gonna have like a WoWhead type site, and I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I know. Did
you think the Spear of Adun was going to be a thing as well?
No, I didn't read the whole article.
I love that you're that innocent. You know what I mean? Like, don't
yeah. It's really adorable. Really adorable.
I should be getting like service hours for fucking doing
wow.
The onslaught does not cease.
I read this really crazy news on March 31st at night, and I couldn't even believe it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Hey, I love your multitasking.
They launched the beta on, essentially April 1st.
I was actually, that would have been the April Fools that got me if the beta never actually launched until like April 2nd. And they were just like, got you guys.
They know that would have actually upset people. There'd be people like writing like Morheim, like, I'm never going to buy one of your games again. I bought Hot Pockets. I took half to school. And this is the thanks I get.
Hey, I took a day off work, and then the game didn't get released until like 9 o'clock at night. So I was a little... that was all my fault, of course. I made the assumption that it would have been out earlier, but
it's totally your fault.
Totally
you
my
also
fault.
Thought Team Liquid had a WoW team, so I don't feel any.
I also thought the Blizzard was going to release voice packs. I don't know if you guys saw that one, but I bought it.
I did see that one. I'm a little bit optimistic about things in general, and I was like, oh come on, don't be full of shit. Fucking full of shit. I was quite upset.
Destiny, apparently I was wrong about your volume.
Did you hear that Half-Life 3 is also coming out pretty soon?
I did.
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
Is it? Did they finally do it?
I'm not that retarded. I can.
Well.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, so you're very talkative today. So, Jeff, I'm glad to have you back. I think this is your third time on the show. How have you been? What have you been up to?
I've been good. Thank you for asking. What have I been up to? Just a lot of travel. Did Poland, did an event in Utah, and then Chicago, and a couple other places all in a row. So I'm just home for a few weeks here, which is really nice. Playing a lot of Legacy of the Void, really enjoying it. I'm sure we'll talk all about that all
Absolutely.
show long, so I don't need to go too far into detail there. Otherwise, gaming-wise, I've just been playing a little bit, not even a little bit, playing quite a bit of CSGO. Enjoying that a lot. I grew up playing 1.6, so this was like it's really nice that this is a game that's flourishing and doing well, because it's a really fun, backup's the wrong word, but like alternate game to play.
Yeah.
The rest of my entire life has been StarCraft, and then every once in a while I'll sneak away and go play a console game, but never anything competitive. All the console games I don't play, like, Mortal Kombat Online or some shit like that. It's going to be... Well, I did play Call of Duty, but even that you can't take serious. You can't fucking take Call of Duty serious, for God's sakes. When a 13-year-old... Well, actually, that happens in Call of Duty as well. But,
I was going to say that happens in Global Offensive.
I know. I was about to make the excuse that it's like better or something like that. It's absolutely not.
Watch out. Yeah. No.
Every day I play at like 3:30, and someone's like, "All right, we're going B, you sons of bitches." And you're like, "Oh, no!" But
it's pretty fun. Global Offensive is really fun, though.
It is really fun. It is fun.
Yeah,
Other than that, lots of Warhammer. I tweet about that all the time and stuff like that. Having a really good time with that, and that's my life. I don't know, back.
That sounds good, man. Sounds good. JaKaTaK, how you been? Yeah, you've been a frequent guest. It's always good to have you back.
Thank you. I've been awesome. As soon as I found out people figured out a way to get into Legacy of the Void before Legacy of the Void came out, I jumped into unit tester and have been unit testing nonstop for the past 3 days or so. And then last night I played ungodly amounts of Archon mode with Tempo and Zombie Grub and Rifkin, and it was super fun.
How you liking the Archon mode?
It's really, really fun. It was most fun, I think, just listening to Rifkin and Zombie Grub, and like Rifkin get really mad at Zombie Grub for not doing exactly what he would do, and just like that back and forth was a lot of fun.
Good. Steven, how you been? You've been saving esports apparently.
Just playing games, just getting that cash grab, mate.
Right. So I seem to have been wrong about your sound. Everyone else says you're kind of low, and I am starting to agree with them. So if you could multitask.
Super high to me.
What's that?
No, I'm just kidding. I think everyone's trolling you, dude.
All right. If you know me, if you genuinely know me, and the sound something screwed up in the sound, message me on Skype, and I'll adjust. I can't believe chat today. Chat.
I made my sound a little bit louder. Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Your dog hasn't barked yet. That's kind of surprising.
No, right? Jesus Christ! Don't jinx it. Knock on wood. No, that's probably exactly. Anyway, so let's kick it off. We're going to talk about Gfinity, and then we're going to spend the rest of the episode talking Legacy of the Void. But I want to say this is the first episode of the late game that has been under the title of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void, and I find that kind of exciting. So let's talk about HOTS, though, first. Gfinity, Parting takes it over Hydra. Really exciting tournament overall. The production, I'm excited with Gfinity's production. A lot of new faces sitting up there. They had a lot of different talent that we don't really see doing the hosting and the commentating and all that. So it is very, very enjoyable from that perspective. And then the games in general were good. Obviously, always hoping for a little more foreign progress through the bracket, but nonetheless, it was still very good. Parting seems to be on top of the world. Maynard, let's talk a little about Parting. We'll kick it off with him. What are your thoughts on him and his performance? Now, we saw him lose to Life. Life being, as we talked about on the show last week, just one of those you rarely want to truly say, hey, player X is the best in the world, but Life is on top right now. But he comes right back around, Parting does, and beats Hydra against Zerg. So we see that he has really no problem beating Zerg. What are your thoughts on Parting's level, since he is doing very well?
Well, he has a style of play, and I think most that watch plenty of StarCraft will agree that he's a very, obviously he's very, very aggressive, really gets past gateways. But and his games in Gfinity went heaps different than that, except for the when it got stretched out into Swarm Host sort of time, when he was forced to go into Colossus and that sort of thing. But he's incredible. I mean, when I saw that top 8, I kind of already knew, or already kind of favored really heavily that Parting would win it when you saw that top 8 on the final day. And yeah, man, I mean, I love Hydra. He's one of the friendliest guys I've ever met in my whole life. So's Parting, actually. But I mean, Hydra and Parting are not the same level. And you could tell, like, the finals was kind of like Parting was doing an all-in, or Hydra was, and whether one or the other was doing it, depended whether or not they won the game. And it was, yeah, I saw the final, and the score didn't surprise me. Like, I was not surprised at all to see Parting beat Hydra pretty convincingly.
Yeah, Jeff, you've been watching Parting for a long time. What are your thoughts on just his play style in general? Have you seen it change over the years, or do you think he's always kind of been this creative, magic maker?
I mean, he obviously was originally famous for the Soul Train style that was kind of running amok in the PvZ matchup when Zergs were otherwise dominating Terrans. And since then, he's become what I feel like, if I had to write a not too fascinating scientific theory on what makes a good Protoss player in particular, you have to be both a super cheesy Protoss and a super cheesy macro Protoss at the exact same time to win like a meaningful best of 5, best of 7, best of 3 even. And I think Parting, I called him Party. Parting has done that. I think he, you're not going to see like a horrifically fast 3 Nexus. Of course, he's capable of it, but that's not typically his style. But you are going to see a wide variety of different kinds of really lethal, very well executed cheesy openings, followed up by cutting some corners macro, and that makes it really hard to play against. So he every time you find like a best Protoss, that's usually the way you describe him. I mean, Rain was the best for like a hot 2 weeks, and he didn't necessarily cheese. He was pretty much just macro, but then everyone kind of calibrated to that, and then he never won again. Whereas all the other top Protosses, for the 1 month that they are considered the best Protoss, because you'll notice too, they never last. People kind of figure their style out, and then they have to reinvent themselves a little while later. Right now, that's what he's doing, I feel like. Okay.
JaKaTaK, any thoughts on Parting before we move on to talk a little about the production?
No, I mean, just he's always been a really strong player. I've always enjoyed watching him play. And he sort of had this, like Jeff said, he came out and there was sort of a dip where he was figuring out how to, come back again after the whole Soul Train, I can destroy anyone with this build phase. and it's nice to see him rising up again and just sort of being I don't know, more diverse player.
Yep, Jeff. I actually have a question. I'm gonna piggyback off that thought. Players in their evolution as a player, it's obviously going to be, as the meta evolves, you as a player need to be able to evolve. Do you see an issue with a lot of players that either go through this big, humps of success and then dip down again? Are those players that don't evolve well and just happen to get caught up in a section of the meta that really fits to their style?
It's interesting because I feel like I'm going to have to try to avoid saying this too much, but I feel like this will almost be a problem of the past to a certain extent, because a lot of the top players we're talking about are obviously, well, they're Korean, but then they're also typically Kespa players as well, and they come from a world where they dominated in Brood War and were kind of in a bit of a god mode. We all know that, but a big part of the reason why that was because, yes, there were definitely styles for sure, but I would say almost above the style, at least at like the determinate levels of like God and just really good, was just being able to outplay your opponents in Brood, where there's so much to do and that you never could do all of it. So the really, really good players were doing more than everybody else, and were just kind of drowning them in actions and speed. And part of the Swarm, certainly less so than Wings of Liberty, that determinate factor is not there as much. So we're seeing players like a Flash, even like a Jaedong, who doesn't practice as much as Flash right now, at least, and is not in Korea, so you can make those excuses as well. But the point stands, they're not able to just drown their opponent in actions and speed and just outplay them as much. Certainly that does exist, but it does become stylistic. And once you figure someone's style out, there's just such hard counters and kind of answers to things that I don't care if you're 100 actions faster, they can just to a certain extent shut it down, or at least luck box out of it. Whereas in Brood War, that was mitigated a lot. And the point I made earlier is I feel like, and again, we're going to talk about this all show long, but at least right now, the preliminary implications and feelings of Legacy of the Void is that there is going to be a lot more multitasking, a lot more speed. So I feel like style is certainly always going to be at the forefront, but as opposed to being like a dominant, very important, if not the most important quality of your play, it'll slide down to like 2 or 3, because players will be able to be like, actually, that guy is being incredible with his harass, and I just can't touch him. I just can't. And then the other Koreans and the top Koreans will be like, well, I can touch him, but he's also managing his economy really well, which, oh, by the way, is moving twice as fast. So I'm really excited for what the future holds. And I think the reinventing yourself style thing is certainly always going to be, part of the discussion, but just not as much as it has been for the last 5 years.
Okay. Maynard, let's talk about Gfinity's production. What are your overall impressions, just with the professionalism of the broadcast, the content, and the quality of the broadcasters? What are your thoughts and feelings on that?
Well, I'm no professional myself. I pretend to be a professional. Sometimes it works. But anyway, they sort of had like a DreamHack vibe for me. It was sort of like half serious, half fun. Like, especially when they were on the couches, relaxing. You can see that the players are pretty, sometimes a little bit too relaxed. Sort of like this in their couch, and it was good. Like, guys like Bling were funny. It was kind of interesting to see Petraeus look incredibly comfortable on those couches. The thing that stood out for me the most in that production, as far as like talent goes, was how good Rhett had gotten since WCS Europe when he was casting. He was so good at.
He's always good. It's fucking Dutch people have the most imbalanced voice, second maybe only to Australians and British people, but like.
I was about to correct you there.
Had a silky smooth voice. That guy's made for radio. My God, his voice is so good.
Yeah, I mean, he was really good, and obviously he's incredibly smart because he's a great player as well. So that and the fact that he brought some genuine excitement to the games as well. He was like the whole package, man. I really enjoyed Rhett. Whenever he was on cam, he was great. I mean, obviously, my brother Nathanius was always good. All the guys that I expected to be good were good, but Rhett was kind of like a pleasant surprise for me. And I didn't expect it to be bad, but I didn't expect it to be that fun. Like, it was really great to see. Downside, I thought the downtime was a little bit disappointing. There was a lot of downtime in between games. Honestly, I didn't see heaps of Gfinity, but when I was watching, I did remember I have to be waiting 15 so minutes between games. was a bit of a shame, but having worked at events, you do know that there's sometimes technical difficulties. Sometimes a player takes a little bit too long to get ready, and you can't help that. So I was pretty lenient. Like, you know, I didn't really care. Just do something else and come back when the game's on.
This isn't their first event, I don't think, right? But it's
one of their earlier ones, isn't it? As an organization,
I think at least on this scale, I don't think they've done an event this big. That's around the tail end of CS:GO as well, I believe, that they ran there.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, we're gonna have Paul is gonna be on the back end now, and so I think that a lot of those little things in the production, I assume, you know, him as the head of broadcasting is gonna be working closely with the producers.
You're on a first name basis with him, Lycan?
Oh, I'm sorry, Red Eye.
Mr. Red Eye Esquire.
Mr. Red Eye. Right?
I don't know. It's so the yeah, I don't know. I apologize.
Okay, you don't you're not
Poor guy.
Oh, you're so adorable. My God.
You know, it's funny. The last time when Red Eye was gone on, he answered a question. We were talking about your dreadlocks, Maynard, and he answers the question. And JaKaTaK messaged me, and he's like, you know, he wasn't angry with you, right? Because he got very aggressive. And he was like, are we really thinking about dreadlocks? Is that what we've come to in esports?
Are we really talking about dreadlocks?
And I was like, I wasn't expecting such an aggressive response. But then I didn't take it personally. It was just kind of like, yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, I don't want, anyway, so.
No, he kind of, like, the first time I ever met him was at Shanghai in 2013. It was my first ever international tournament. It was the first time I met him. And he was like that. And I was the same. Like, you know, when you don't really know the guy, you're like, is he actually angry? And sort of just like, you just sort of keep being yourself and wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
What's fun about him, though, is sometimes he is.
Sometimes he's very angry. I've seen angry Red Eye, and I've seen
what an idiot.
Yeah, what an idiot. No, dude, I don't even think he was that angry then. I've seen him angry.
Oh yeah.
But that's just who he is, man. I mean, you know, he's a really cool guy. I mean, you saw him in Poland, the last event when he was on stage. He's like the best in the world at that stuff. It's really no question.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome to see what he does with Gfinity. My perception of Gfinity, I think they're still finding their footing with this series, but I'm excited. You know, everyone gets excited when a new series like this does come up. So I'm hoping we see a lot of growth with it. You know, we don't see them like, you know, StarCraft's not that exciting. We're going to go down. But I think with Legacy of the Void, that's not likely to happen. We're going to see definitely a lot more. And what we've got May. Is there a Spring Masters too? But it's my thought. I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
I agree. Someone sent me a video of a. I'm sorry, it's like the worst thing to do on a show, but there's a bulldog wedding video saying that. I figured you were just talking about Paul getting mad and stuff. So
it's all good. It's all good.
Bulldogs get married here real quick.
It's all good. Yeah. All right, so Gfinity overall, very awesome series. Their next one is in May, I believe, for StarCraft. I don't think they have any more. Are these invite only, or is it qualifier? I can't remember for the Gfinity Masters.
I think it was qualifier.
Qualifier. All right. Well,
actually, maybe not, because the player pool was a little bit too good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is very true. So we'll I'll have to look at that, but we're gonna move in. We're only 30 minutes into the show. We're gonna move to the topic that everyone came here to discuss. It's time to discuss it. Legacy of the Void. We're gonna talk first impressions, what we hate, what we love. What and JaKaTaK is gonna be here to give us a lot of expert insight. He's been doing a lot of good work. As soon as you were able to get into those units, JaKaTaK was like, "All right, I'm gonna dissect this and figure it out." He sat on stream for hours and just taking requests. So he's gonna be not only a voice of knowledge, but he's also going to be a voice of reason, because Steven, Destiny, iNcontroL, Maynard, myself may all come and say, hey, we hate this unit, and JaKaTaK's going to be the voice of easy fellas.
Okay. Let's do the math on
We're
this.
early.
That is such an intro. Thank you. You may be overselling it just a small bit, but thank you.
All right, so we're going to kick it off with you, JaKaTaK, because I know you have a build, a dirty build.
I do.
So why don't you tell us about this dirty build?
I make 7 Ravagers and I get them out in 5 minutes and I kill people with it. That's all it is.
Jeff.
So I killed not people who are not Zerg and people who are Zerg that don't build Zerglings. That's basically how it works.
Zergling counters the Ravager.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, anything that's fast and melee will do well against the Ravager.
How about like so I mean, there's a certain number you need like when you go up against roaches with your Zerglings to still be effective. You know, if it's early, there are only a few roaches out, you can handle them. So what are we talking with Ravagers? Like that you need, like, are we talking 40 speedlings to take down your 7 Ravagers, or?
Yeah, like maybe we're like 20 to 30. If you can surround the Ravagers, like if I get the thing is like with the particular build, I have to have the Overlord that has high ground vision to kill the wall. So if you kill the Overlord,
oh my fucking god. Dude, I just suicided my whole fucking shit into Ravagers. I thought they were Ravagers, and I was like, is he burrowing Ravagers? Can they fire when burrowed? Oh my god, I'm fucking retarded. Sorry, keep going. Sorry, Ravager Rush. Sounds really good.
Welcome back to the show, man.
So for those of you wondering, Steven is keeping esports alive on his channel.
Can we not? I'm not really. I'm just kidding.
He's just here for the beta. Don't make a big deal about it.
Yeah. All right. So Jeff, what are your thoughts on the Ravager and your experiences against it? Like, have you had trouble with it? Have you been able to counter it?
Well, I feel like I'll just say this and we'll get it out of the way because this is like, you'd have to say this before everything, but this is the closed beta, so I anticipate most of these units are going to get drastically changed before we release. That being said, as it currently stands, I really like the idea behind the Ravager, a fast kind of siege unit that's not super siegey. Like if it outranged easily all the stacked defenses, I think that'd be really silly. It doesn't. It's like equal distance to most of them, I believe. So it takes damage, but it can kind of kite back and forth, and it destroys them, but it takes micro, which I really like. As far as the early game push that you described with JaKaTaK, I'm not going to lie. I've been victim to that several times, and I feel like, that's probably a little bit silly. You need to slow it down a little bit. I don't necessarily think it needs a cost increase, but maybe, it morphs pretty damn fast. I don't know, something to slow that down. I don't think they want in their meta game right now, in the back of everybody's mind, oh God, what if, 5 Ravagers show up? And then when it doesn't show up, all of a sudden you have these 5 Stalkers that then do nothing, right? Stuff like that. But I love the idea behind the unit. I'm not going to take up the whole time, but I do want to touch on this. No, let's talk later about piss poor design and having lurkers, swarm hosts, and broodlords in the same army.
All right, I will make a note.
Real quick though,
slow as fuck. Like
there's a lot of overlap.
Well, is it lurkers, swarm hosts, and what?
All the static defense. There's no static defense that can outrange the corrosive bile of the Ravager. The only thing that outranges the Ravager is the siege tank.
Oh,
it'll outrange.
And players are terrible because in every one of my games they've been dying to 1 or 2 cannons. So, but I mean that's not an excuse. That is what happens.
If they move the Ravager to the cannon, and the cannon has the same range, right? Cannons are 6 range, 7 range.
Cannons are 7 range.
And Ravagers are 6.
The regular attack is 6, but the corrosive bile is 9.
Yeah. So if you just move into cannons, the cannons will shoot you.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, Steven, what are your thoughts? You've been using the Ravager a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The first time I used it, it seems really, really, really fucking strong. The fact that the auto attack is so good on it, and then the corrosive bile on top of that is also like so good, makes the unit seem really fucking strong on the ground. I don't know. It seems kind of hard to deal with. But then again, on the Protoss side of things, that infiltrator or disruptor, whatever the fuck it's called, that infiltrates your shit and disrupts you. And it's like
the violator.
It seems really dumb. I thought it seemed like now we have like counterplay to force build, so Blizzard is like, okay, well, having things in the game with no counterplay is kind of bad. So then we get the disruptor that turns on a button, and then it's faster than all your shit, and the AoE is huge, and the damage doesn't scale if you're farther from the center of the blast. I don't know, the infiltrator, or I'm sorry, the disruptor seems really fucking good. And then that combined with the warp prism pickup seems a little bit silly. I don't know.
That warp prism range is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it almost feels like maybe you have to go Muta or get like fucking insanely fast Vipers or something. I don't know, something to deal with. Warp prism harassment is kind of hard to deal with. You can't build static D at all. I don't know.
All right. I heard you talking about, I was watching your stream last night and you were talking about anti-air, like being excited that you finally, like you were very excited about the anti-air of the Ravager.
Yeah, Zerg has never had like anti-air like in the 3 years of StarCraft 2. I mean like we have to like master our macro mechanic to have actual anti-air. So
the skill shot anti-air, which I think is really fucking cool because they feel amazing when they hit a warp prism that's this being led as opposed to just like right click and it dies. It's like, oh cool, I clicked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Steven, about the anti-air, what about the what is it, parasitic bomb? Have you had a chance to use that?
I used it a little bit. So what? It functions like irradiate. It looks like you cast it on something
like
and then
it's irradiate plus. It's like irradiate and then it sticks around after the unit dies.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to play with that more, but that seems like I only got to use it in one game. That seems like it would be like kind of retardedly strong, like against like mech, like against Vikings. If you land like a couple of those on Vikings while your broodlords are going to town, I don't know how does the Terran deal with that. That seems another like something like, oh well, fuck, like he just. I don't remember. I hated Irradiate and Brood War. I'm not gonna lie. when you've got like a group of like 12 mutas or 11 mutas and an Overlord, if you're doing the muta micro, and then like one of your mutas gets irradiated, and you play that fucking game where you're trying to figure out like which mutalisk is irradiated, and then all your shit just dies. It's like fuck.
Speaking of Vikings being clumped up, have you guys noticed that the Vikings kind of feel like they spread a bit more and they
do. They fix the
a bit better? Yeah,
they fix the AI on the land. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't clump as much, and they feel heaps smoother with the transform now. Like that's something that I didn't see in the patch notes. So,
yeah, they had that fixed at BlizzCon. What happens is what used to happen anyway is that if you wanted a Viking to land, it would decelerate to a stop and then land. But now if you press the land Viking while the Viking is in motion, it'll just land right away.
Yeah, it feels really good.
They're like shimmy.
It feels really good.
Yeah, I love it.
Now, JaKaTaK, they didn't add that micro in with the Vikings, did they?
What do you mean?
Yeah, so there was that one suggestion. I don't know if it was you or there was someone made a video. I can't remember what the exact.
Oh, moving shot. You're talking
there
about
we go.
Shot.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I was gonna actually ask. I don't like not to talk about your sexuality too much, but how big of a chubber did you get? How big of a chubber did you get in the Legacy of the Void video when they were like, and we've noticed that some people were talking about moving shot, which you kind of dedicated your life to. I can just like imagine you like listening to that
the
video.
scan range, I think, is what you're.
No man.
Yeah. It was the scan range. Yeah, that's it.
Dude.
That's it. Yeah, the scan range thing.
Yeah, that was the single most exciting moment in my StarCraft 2 life. I was like, holy shit, I did something that mattered. This is fucking great.
Yeah.
No, it is awesome. So, Jeff, have you one of the things I hear Protoss talking about is like the example video, Stalkers walking into Widow Mines. Have you had any engagements yet where the scan range has been to your benefit?
Actually, that's really cool to hear. No, not necessarily. I played last night, which is a few hours out from the inception of the closed beta, so everyone was kind of rushing around to play with the fun toys. I didn't face that many Widow Mines, but I do think it speaks volumes. Not to hijack the comment, but how funny it is that it took people about 2 hours to figure out rushing Ravagers was a pretty fucking good strategy. Every Protoss was spending the same 2 hours on Adepts, and they were like, no, there's nothing. Yeah, no, nothing. It's like a worse Reaper. It's like you didn't have anything. Well, you're gonna lose 2 or 3 probes. Okay, so get ready for that.
You can go 3 gate Adept with 1 gas, and it's actually pretty nice.
Is it?
Like the spending lines up perfectly.
That's amazing. It sounds like shit. I'm sure. I'm gonna guess it's shit.
Have you used the Adept?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not saying.
He has to use it. He's commenting anyway.
Yeah. No, I read the stat line on it and figured the damage output didn't match up to the 25 gas that it costs. So I took that.
I mean, there's no point to making comments like that. If we wanted to hear that kind of stuff, we just go read the StarCraft subreddit, right? Let me tell you how the balance of the entire Legacy of the Void is going to work. My sources are here. Okay. I see.
All right, so what are your thoughts on the Adept? Have you found a good use for it? Is it just like this is some nice DPS? What do you put it to, Jeff?
The success of what?
The Adept. What have you found to use it?
Well, again, I really do want to tip the hat, though. I fucking love the mechanic. I love the idea of it kind of ghost walking, and the ghost walk is a lot faster. The cooldown on it is fairly low, but I don't feel like it. I feel like the timing of that is actually pretty on point. And again, Blizzard gets a lot of crap for from a lot of people for game design, but at the end of the day, we're addicted to this shit, and it's really good. And the Adept in that way is really strong. I feel like it has the same problems as the Reaper, where it's like it's not good enough. It's going to kill harvesters, or it'll kill slow zerglings. Cool. And if you make it stronger, it's broken as shit, and it tears everybody a new a-hole. And you obviously don't make it weaker, but what do you do with it? You know, and it took them a long time. They eventually made the Reaper semi-decent. Like, it's a mainstay of TVZ right now in Heart of the Swarm. It is the younger brother of early PvT as well, where it comes in, is as annoying as shit, and then disappears for the rest of the game. Something like that for the Adept would be really cool. JaKaTaK's about to talk about the upgrade and how Cleave is actually pretty good against Space Marines, but that, of course, is also not a legit use of the Adepts because they get mowed down by Marauders, which are everywhere as well. So JaKaTaK, nothing out.
Go ahead, JaKaTaK.
Don't do it.
No, man. I gotta give respect to the iNcontroL.
That's
right. There it is.
All right, Maynard.
Yes.
Do you have any comments on the Adepts upgrade?
I didn't. I only saw Adepts in the early game. I never saw anyone have a game against me. And also when I had a game as a Protoss, I mean, I was queuing as random. I felt like the Adept kind of sucked.
Okay.
And I stopped making it after I used it in the early game.
Okay, Jeff.
Like I just used it to open, and I used it to try and harass. And I'm like, every time I use it, I kind of get shut down. And when it was used against me, I shut it down pretty easily. I didn't have any issues with it.
So you make me think of something, Jeff. Early game as Protoss. Like, is there more viability for an early 4-gate rush of some sort? Within the way the economy is, have you experimented with that at all?
No, I haven't, but I'm sure what you're saying has some validity to it. It makes sense to me that with that faster economy, you're going to have, I do agree with what JaKaTaK said earlier. You're not going to have so much as the, a spawning pool first type of cheese from Zerg, but you're going to have a lot more of the like 1 or 2 base economy kind of rushes, I feel. It's also, we have to remember that like almost, an arbitrary number, 50% of StarCraft balance is maps as well.
Mm-hmm.
And these maps are utter shit.
Fuck. 4-player maps. 4-player maps.
Get out of my ass. So as the game releases and evolves, like they literally put Inferno pools in the like it's so funny.
What did they get rid of? The Secret Spring?
We know this is a terrible map, but let's put it in the beta because maybe it has a second chance there. But otherwise, we'll see. Well, yes, I agree with you. It's a super long way of saying yes. I think so.
My biggest issue with the maps was like, there's a lot of issues with the maps, but the ramp seems broken on a few of them. Like, it doesn't seem like you can wall them in properly, and I'm like, that's something they should fix right away.
Absolutely. Can't agree more.
There's some mining bugs too, where I don't know if you guys noticed it on Coda, at least in some of the spawning, and I think one of the spawning positions, your worker will just like bug out and not mine. It'll just
actually, yes. Now that you say that.
All right, so
I'm surprised you know the name of the map. That's your dedication. Your passion is incredible.
He's incredible, man.
All right, so let's talk about bugs. Actually, I've noticed one as Terran. If you have, let's say you have 3 barracks, right? One of them has an add-on, one of them is naked, and the other one is naked as well, but not building anything. The one that is not building anything will lift up, just like a barracks would if you tried to make an add-on on it. It lifts up as if there's something in the way, and then the one that's building something tries to actually make the add-on though. And then it says it can't.
I like it.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And the other one I've noticed is that you ever notice like your sound gets really loud when it tells you you're under attack?
Yeah.
It'll be your normal volume that you're using throughout the game, and then
under attack.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are 2 bugs I've noticed. You talked about the mineral one. I think before the beta even came out, someone posted a Reddit about that ramp that you can't wall off. I found you can do it with 2 supply depots, a factory and a tech lab, and a barracks and an add-on for that as well. That's
not how it's supposed to be,
right?
The thing about that though is like that's not the map maker's fault. Like in the initial versions of those maps, they were meant to be walled in the normal way that you can wall in.
Okay.
But Blizzard had to mess with them a bit, and that messing with caused that issue.
All right.
Those motherfuckers.
Well, so what about you guys? You guys noticed any weird glitches or bugs, maps, gameplay, anything?
Just the mining bug and a bunch of hotkey stuff that no one's gonna be interested in.
Steven, are you beating Huck right now? What the fuck?
I just do
You're
2v.
hosting a talk show.
I know, I'm listening. We're talking about this shit.
God, it's not as casual as League, man. You got to get your head in this shit.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
I can bring up one more thing. The mini map's really hard to see stuff on.
You deserve that,
Oh
Steven.
yeah, the new colors.
You deserve that.
It's transparent, semi-transparent.
Semi-transparent, sure.
he's literally smashing Huck right now while
I didn't like it.
on a talk show.
Basically, the mini map. Yeah, no, I mean, Destiny is the best, man.
He just
Hosting
lost a whole
and
bunch
the-
of drones though to a disruptor.
He's got
Can we
muted.
focus on the talk show? Yeah.
You focus on the talk show.
I'm listening. We were talking about what was the last topic he just brought up?
What was it?
Hang on. We're pushing Dragon. Hang on.
Or what?
All right, I'm sorry. What were you saying? What about Dota 2?
Oh boy.
Oh man! All right, and we regain control of the show.
Do we?
We do. All right, so we were talking about bugs and glitches.
If this is what it takes to host a show, I mean, I've got some free time tomorrow when I'm playing D&D. I can just
Right?
pop in for a hot 2 seconds every once in a while.
I roll a 17 and I crit, and I believe that your issue with Reddit is incorrect. Blah 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 blah, and it's a critical hit. I win the game. The dragon is dead. Yep. Moving on.
I miss Vincent Longborn.
I do too. He's a good man.
Wow.
Yeah, you literally just beat Huck while.
That why aren't you a pro? Like you sit here and participate in this conversation.
On the unranked.
Well, he's got to pick a game first, but then, yeah.
So, is there any sort of MMR?
I think there has to be.
Because I'm still playing pros.
No, there's not. I mean, if there is,
Really
it's a really bad one. Like I jumped from playing Callister last night to like a guy who lost 30 harvesters to an Oracle and just wouldn't move them. Just flat out was like, "Fuck it, man! You guys are going down with this thing."
I mean, there are times where I see the Oracle come in and it's like,
you're just too lazy to move them. You're like,
like, if you fucking micro kill, anyway, like, is it actually worth it? Like, my time we better spend just making more drones, and I'll go harass it, and like, fuck it. Like, fuck, I play Zerg. I got 42 larvae. I'm injecting. I don't give a fuck. Yep. I mean, good job. You drove the Oracle on my base. You can have them.
You're playing again. What the fuck, Steven?
I'm just trying to. I'm getting more experience so I can contribute better to the talk show.
Here's how you spin this. Your passion right now is so
it's
incredibly
overwhelming.
Powerful.
The PayPal numbers are growing. I can't even fucking stop
The
it.
PayPal numbers.
All right. So getting back to the Legacy of the Void, since you're on the early game, and I know this is the hardest part for you to not fuck up, Steven, what are your overall impressions of the new Legacy of the Void? The way the game has changed.
The way the like are you talking about like the economy stuff?
Yeah, how the economy is just affecting the overall gameplay.
I don't know. I think it could lead to like some really interesting stuff. Like just in thinking, like you could potentially have like best of 3 series that are over in less than 10 minutes. Like I don't know. I played a game yesterday that was like 4 base versus 4 base almost that ended in I think less than 10 minutes. It was like at the 10.
Yeah, but that's different time. Isn't that weird how that transforms it?
Yeah, but I mean like even in Blizzard time that would have been like what, like 12 or 13 minutes? Like what is the difference?
1.4.
Well, it's a huge difference. I agree.
1.4? Oh, so it would have been 14 minutes in Blizzard time. So yeah. So I mean like it's crazy how much quicker the game picks up. I was kind of worried that everything would kind of stagnate because now everybody would just be doing crazy macro builds, but the reduction in economy makes everything move along too, like so quick. Like you're just like dropping base after base, and we're like, holy fuck! Like you got to take bases like crazy. Your main is like mined out by the time your third is like done almost. Like all the 750 patches are at like 200 resources. Like I don't know. I like it. It feels like it moves along a lot quicker in the early game, right? You guys get that impression?
Yep.
I feel like
I actually love it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's also true. This like just philosophy of like you move or you die. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Even with the units, even with stuff like the Ravager, if you don't micro against the Ravager, you're dead. If you don't micro against the Disruptor, wait, you can't. Never mind. Eventually, you'll be able to, and then you'll be.
Well, no, but it's true. Like if you're it's happened to me, harassing Protoss. Like okay, well my army's sitting outside. He's not going to engage. I go back, and then you're under attack. I look back. Oh, there's 2 Disruptors in my army. It's too late, and then you lose everything. So even against that, like you have to be active, with your shit.
Yeah. Jeff, what are your first thoughts? You log in, you started playing. I mean, we all know the games are going fast. What is your opinion on that, and then the future? What does this mean for StarCraft?
I love it. I am so absolutely in love with it. It was something they've been talking about since BlizzCon. StarCraft is meant to be a super challenging game, and I think in this day and age, the stress and challenge of that should have been, well, not should have. It was it was, but I just didn't think they did as good of a job of it. But it needs to be a really fun game for the noob, and it needs to be a really challenging game for the pro, because StarCraft is never going to be the user friendly experience, like the super user friendly experience. There are games that are always going to be way better than StarCraft at making the game fun and easy to play. Mm-hmm. So when you play StarCraft on some level, I feel like you should be like, well, okay, this is a fucking hard game to play, but I need to be rewarded for that. And at the same time, I enjoy watching really good people do things I could never do in a million years. And I feel like with Archon, well, again, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, but like there are things built into it, and there's more to be done. I definitely think that's the case. That does make it a good game for the newbie. But speaking from like the competitive perspective, which is what we're talking about mostly, I feel like I am so in love with the idea of this game going faster. The reduced economy, the fixed time, just the faster pace, the more like smaller battles, but are just as important, if not more important. It's amazing, I think. And I know I'm just like gushing and it's a PR piece, but like there's not much more to be said other than bravo, and I really think it's the right direction for the game.
Yeah, I mean, I like to second that. The eco changes just make the game feel like so much swifter. The move or die, I think, is a good argument, or a good comparison. Like I think in Legacy or in Heart of the Swarm, maybe I'm a little biased because I run into people like Ruff and Avila on the ladder a lot, and even I used to do to some extent too, like the 2-base swarm host bullshit. It's just not possible in this game. Like you have to be dropping bases and moving and moving. And if you just kind of sit and chill for too long and don't do anything for a while, you could get away with it in Heart of the Swarm on 2-base builds, but you absolutely can't do it in this game. I don't know. I like losing in that way, and I like winning in that way. Where like I'll be playing a game and I'll notice that like I fucked up a little bit of an early timing, and now I don't have a third, and my main base is like mined out, and it's like, huh. It's really, really cool. It makes the game feel
it brings the idea of like being able to contain your opponent and like starve them out in like a faster fashion, like a little bit more viability too. It's sort of like
that constant aggression.
And, I mean, you get 6 lurkers at a tight choke, and you hold them off. You do what you can or whatever. You're actually putting them on a clock rather than the sort of very vague, hard to grasp. Like, yeah, I guess I'm kind of starving out my opponent. I guess I'm putting them at a disadvantage. It's like very apparent in your face. So, like,
yeah,
you're mining out their minerals right now, and I just took 2 bases. It's like very, very like real.
Yep. So
I think another form of them speeding up the game, by the way, too, that deserves huge amounts of credit is having 12 harvesters to start the game as well.
Oh yeah.
God damn! Like the game, I know. One funny comment that I saw get to my chat last night was that you don't have as much time as a streamer to talk to your chat. Destiny said that, but that aside, like the game is instantly interesting and is already. It's going to be funny because so many. I mean, again, speaking from like the stupid commentator's perspective, which everyone here can
all the jokes. Well,
just like
5 minutes of a PVT.
Exactly.
We're waiting for the cybernetic score to come down.
Like PVZ got, where they're doing the same fucking thing absolutely every single game. Now there's like, I don't know.
You're like, as soon as the game starts, like,
yeah,
you could literally walk into a game and in 2 seconds the Zerg has put down the gas and it's like, okay, looks like we got a 12 pool 11 or like 12 gas 12 pool or something. Like everything starts like instantly.
So Maynard, going for you. With this 2-parter, right? First is, which race do you feel is most benefiting right now from the new economy? Do you feel it's equally balanced against for all, or in your experience, do you see someone else taking a lead?
I think it's really hard to tell. There's the factors of mules, like the Terran mines out their main a little bit quicker than the other races. The Protoss sort of is in the middle, and the Zerg, I think, with the starting workers, Zerg might be like technically, mathematically, like a little bit unfavored.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think no, we actually, because even though Zerg might appear to be a little bit unfavored because you might be able to get ahead because of injecting, you start out with 3 larvae or whatever, so it comes out to be like really close.
All right, so it's a negligible difference. Okay, so it's a negligible difference. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's just too hard to tell at the moment, man. I can't answer that I can't answer that question properly. I'm sorry.
What's interesting to me too, you bring up the mule, and I mean this is going to be sort of crazy, like weird stuff that's probably not true, but what about like dropping supply? What about the idea of, or just saving for more scans? Like the mule becomes this sort of like, maybe it moves more towards a decision, am I going to mule or not mule, rather than just like, oh yeah, you're a Terran, you get an orbital as soon as you possibly can, you just drop as many mules as you can, and it doesn't matter, there's no recourse, you know?
I could actually, now that you mention that, I could foresee some kind of rush because you start with almost your supply cap, right? I could see some kind of rush where like you drop your supply depot, proxy 3 or 4 barracks, and then just push with Marines by dropping a supply depot and something like that. That'd be really sick.
Steven, have you had anyone proxy racks you yet?
Fucking bombers did, yeah, but he's the only one, yeah.
So you got it down before you got your hatch down?
Before. No, it's not like 11-11. It's not.
Okay.
It's not. It's just like early pressure.
Well, you still have to build a depot, then the barracks.
Right.
Yeah. Well, not to mention if you're doing like a true like all in with that kind of a rush, I think your workers are leaving your base at like for an 11-11. When do they leave your base? Like
they'd be leaving immediately
like,
right at the start of the game. I don't even remember. So yeah, it's
be strong. I feel like I would give them benefit of the doubt that that's one of the first things they've checked, is 2-raxing's been out since 1998 or 5 or something like that. You know, like Terrans have always done it. Someone should try it though, because that would be. I mean, someone has. I just mean someone of us should check it out, because that would be the first concern with 12 Harbors. We're like, oh, it's so great, and then we discover that there's an invincible 2-rax that's just can't hold. You're like,
it'd probably be more like a 3 because the amount of workers you start.
Yeah, at that point in time, they just
and
have,
with the
like, so
economy
much
you
money
have, like it's you can afford 3 barracks by the time that you're dropping your second, I think.
That's one thing I'm very excited about, is that the timings for everything is going to change. Not just, okay, well, my Dark Templar get out at this time or my Cloaked Banshee gets out at this time, but because of the economic change, because you were forced into this economy and you are still restricted by your buildings, right? You still can't get out a Banshee any faster than you can build a barracks, build a factory, and then build a starport and a tech lab. So with that, you still have all this mineral income building up, so you're going to have an expand, right? So that committal to a Cloaked Banshee is not as great as it was before, and I feel that's going to be the case with a lot of different aggressive openers. So we're going to see these quick aggression, and if you go over there and you make an even trade or you lose, you're still not going to be terribly far behind. You still are going to have that chance to micro your way and stay in the game. When in Heart of the Swarm, if you lose that Banshee, you're screwed. You're SOL. From a pro level, that's a lot of minerals lost if you did nothing.
Maybe I misunderstood. I think it feels like mistakes are actually punished way more harshly in this game.
I agree.
Because if somebody tries to all in you or do early pressure and they fuck up, again, like, okay, your pressure's done. By the way, your mana is like mined out now. Like, good luck.
Well, so that's all in. I'm saying that if you do the gas first Banshee build, you still have you have so many minerals coming in that you're still going to have to expand. So you can still do the Banshee without compromising a late expansion.
I think the in the past, right, when you're trying to design a build, you have different limiting factors and how fast you can get certain things out. And one of those is the economy, like what can you afford at what time and all that. And the other one is sort of like the actual time it takes to get up the tech tree. Right. I think because of this 12 workers coming in, the economy is not really going to be a limiting factor for most of these things. It's actually going to be the tech tree. So I think a lot of the aggressive stuff is going to be end up being a little bit more low tech, but you can like push out a lot more units. Like you could probably get a really, really strong, just like Marine Marauder timing.
So maybe I was
that, you know?
Yeah, maybe I was wording that wrong. But the way you said it sounds a little more focused towards what I was going for, and just that you can build those aggressive techs, and as long as it's not going to send you in a direction that you can't transition into a mid-game, late-game build, you're going to be fine, even if you don't do game-ending or critical damage.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Any disagreement there, or agreement, thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like early pressure is really, really risky regardless, just because you're on such a timer like that. Getting that third, like, to go on to kind of what JaKaTaK was saying, like, there's a lot of 2-base aggression that works because you can kind of, if you do like a little bit of damage or not that much damage, like you can hang on 2 bases for a little bit, and it's not like the worst thing in the world, depending on the matchup and depending on the kind of opening you do. But here it's like, you can't really hang out on 2 bases at all. Like,
okay,
you have to be moving.
I feel. or like if you do hang on 2 bases, you have to be sure that timing is going to hit and like kill them or very close to kill them. I think like the edges become a lot thinner.
Okay.
Cannon rushes though. Cannon rushes are, I think, going to be much stronger.
Have you been cannon rushed yet, Steven?
Not kind of really.
No, we haven't played yet.
I got like one game, like I got pressured off a base with a cannon, but it wasn't like an all-in cannon rush.
Okay.
Well, I think because the thing is, like, cannon rush is one of those things that we like. If you have all that economy and you can just push out tons of cannons, you're not even all in. You could just open up with a cannon rush and be fine and be making probes and macroing behind it and still be cranking out like a lot of cannons. I'm really interested to see.
You run the risk of getting Ravager rush though when you do that because you're delaying your ability to stop that with other things.
That's a good point.
It's fucking Ravagers. All right, guys.
They break everything.
We're going to take a quick break. Obviously, we have way more to talk about. There's still a lot to discuss. Yes, we are going to discuss the amazing should not be touched in any way, shape, or form unless it's for a buff Cyclone. And a lot of other different things about the engagements that you can take, the things we don't like. We've talked about a lot of good things, so we'll talk about a little bit of the bad, but more just going into this game is so awesome. I know we... it's incredible what's going on so far. There's a lot to happen. Things can change, but we'll see what's going on. But we're going to take a 3-minute commercial break, and so don't go away. This is the late game. We'll be right back.